The Fairphone 6 is an amazing phone for so many reasons and deserves an honest consideration. If you want all the details on the specs and the ethos of the Fairphone, I highly recommend watching the Android Authority video on it, which does a brilliant overview of the Fairphone 6. Now, what I want to share with you is the experience of using it for 72 hours as my main phone, and I'll dive into my good and not so good impressions living with this phone. So let's dive right in. First is that it comes with a pure Google experience. There's a couple of Google apps on it that's pre-installed, but outside of that, there's only one other app that's installed, which is My Fairphone. And My Fairphone is basically a place where you can go to just check on a couple things about your phone health, how long you've kept it for, and the shop for spare parts, accessories, which I think is very well thought out. They have everything in this one app, so you don't have to go online to look around. And it's very clean, simple, and modern. Everything else on this phone, I've added it personally, but then you get the Google suite, which is what I prefer. Second is that the screen doesn't leave me wanting for more. I think the quality of the screen feels great in the hand, the Gorilla Glass cover, and the color reproductions. Everything feels great, including the pixel density. It's a 6.3-inch OLED display, and you can tell that they didn't go with the cheapest option here. As for the comparison with something like a top tier model, of course, it's not going to be at that level. But overall, I think that this is a display that will last very well for years to come. So my third good impression is that I immediately forgot about this fat top and bottom lip. I remember when I saw the pictures of this and when I got it in hand, I was thinking that those parameters, or I guess the lips, would bother me quite a bit. But as soon as I start to use the phone, they faded into the background. I didn't think much about it. Number 4 is that the unlock face, or the face unlock, is extremely fast. So is the fingerprint unlock as well. These are really snappy, and I think overall adds to kind of the feeling that this phone isn't lagging, it's not slow, that it's well optimized. So right now, I just unlocked it using my finger, and that's when it was on the lock screen. If I just press my finger on the power, automatically detects that it's unlocked and it unlocks immediately. Now, if I wanted to do the face, same concept, I would, let's say, double tap. And then as soon as it wakes from the sleep mode to the lock screen, immediately you see that it unlocks with using face unlock. So I'll do that one more time. And just like that, very quick. Number 5 is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. It doesn't disappoint. I'm not really concerned about longevity here. Sure, there are times where I would find that opening a certain app might lag a little bit, but it's not really the apps itself or opening and closing it. It's when you have something like, I remember I was on a Zoom call with a friend of mine and trying to just navigate that with the video in the background. It was not the most fun experience. But with that said, it handled the call no problem. It worked well. There were no faulty, delays just because of, let's say, the phone not being able to keep up with the demands of it. But overall, the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 has me feeling confident that this will be able to last for many years to come. My 6th good impression is that the phone feels efficient and smooth. With the user experience, when holding it in the hand, it does get a little bit warm, but I was quite surprised how it didn't get too hot to touch, which for me is kind of a very subconscious experience that I have when it comes to how efficient a phone is running, on top of just seeing the battery on the top right corner and seeing the numbers drop over time. But for my experience, just when it comes to casual browsing, social media, using Chrome, taking a picture, these things with the Fairphone 6 is very well optimized. Number 7 is the battery life. I am very happy with the battery life. Now, I think with calls or something like the Zoom call, the battery would drain very fast. But when it comes to just casual browsing, it's, again, probably with the way that it's optimized with the chip, I found that the whole battery experience to be very well. So with that, what I mean by that is that if I were to top it off, I would say confidently 24 hours just with casual use. Now, I'm not a power user. I'm not playing games. I'm not on the phone for 3-4 hours a day. I would just casually use it for emails, opening up social media apps, looking at things on Chrome, using ChatGPT, and random apps here and there, but again, not a power user, but I think I would use it as much as any average person does, and I find to be the battery quite sufficient. On top of that, the charging for this phone extremely fast, and so it's really cool because you have this replaceable battery that you can access very quickly, and you have a battery life that's not bad at all, but that'll top up very fast, definitely faster than the iPhone that I have here. Number 8 is that the camera photos can be pretty good. I already released my early video about comparing the quality of the photos with this phone, and I would say that that's definitely a really good impression. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing too much when it comes to the rear cameras, and if I were to take my time making sure the lighting is right, and I don't move too much, the quality of the pictures come out really well. Number 10 is that the Fairphone Moments is not a gimmick. I think that it's quite brilliantly done, very well designed. So as soon as you toggle the switch down, it brings you to the moments. Now, the Fairphone Moments isn't a gimmick. I think it's incredibly useful, especially in a world where we're all fighting phone addictions. And a software feature like this, I feel like, should become a requirement for all phone manufacturers. Just a quick, easy access, not a dumb phone mode, but option for us to be able to just simplify the phone experience. So you're really creating not so much, it's not blocking you from opening other apps, but what it does is it just gives you the apps that you feel like on a day-to-day basis you would need. You don't need social media, you don't need a lot of other things. You have your browser, your camera, and of course you can switch this around. Of course, there's also the expandable storage, which I think is a very, very thoughtful touch to a phone like this. Now, as for my not so good impressions, the Face Unlock doesn't have a swipe to home option. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but I'm used to the iPhone where if you just tap once, it wakes, and immediately your phone is unlocked. But when it comes to the Fairphone 6, and I think Androids, I might not, it just might be something with my unfamiliarity with Androids, but the double tap, and as soon as the phone is unlocked using Face Unlock, it skips the home screen automatically. Now I think Samsung has this option where if you unlock it, it keeps you on that lock screen until you swipe up. But for this, I can't seem to find that option. So as soon as you try to unlock the phone, it skips that lock screen immediately. And a lot of times I just want to see the notification. I don't actually want to see what's going on and open up the phone all the way. I'll do that one more time. And as you can see, the other issue is with the double tap. It's incredibly slow. So the thing with the double tap is that sometimes if you just do it lightly, it might not even register. Again, I'll do it again here. And there, it took a solid maybe 1 to 2 seconds for the phone to wake up from the double tap, which I find incredibly frustrating. It takes forever to open up. And so then you might say, hey, yeah, the power button, you can just hit the power button to wake up the phone. But if you have your fingerprint unlock set up, again, you can't just hit the power button and see the lock screen. It automatically takes you to your home screen. So what I find myself doing is that if I had Face Unlock off, I would have to touch it very gently on the side so that I can see then the notifications here. But that's just it's a user experience that I find very jarring to me. I like the lock screen a lot, so I can take a quick glance at my notifications, at the time, date, whatever I might want to look at, the battery life. But here, it's every single time you're just forced to go to the home screen. Next is that the default refresh rate out of the box is 90 Hertz, not the 120 Hertz that they advertise. It's really just so that the battery life is more optimized. So if you go into display, refresh rate automatically set to 90, and at 120 it does tend to go through the battery just a little bit faster. Another gripe that I have is that while the camera is decent, the front-facing video definitely doesn't inspire any confidence, to the point where I don't think I would even want to use the front-facing camera. Now, I guess it's more for video calls, and for video calls, it works just fine. There's no problems there, but for anything recording, I would definitely avoid it. So while the battery is great for normal use, I do find that it does drain quite fast, again, when it comes to calls or video calls. So just keep in mind with that, which is kind of buffered by the fact that you can charge it back up very fast. So overall, that's a small and not so great impression. Another big one for me is that the phone doesn't come with any accessories. Now, the box itself, it comes with a phone that's wrapped and it's minimal. And I know that the argument for that is that they're trying to reduce waste, but I've had this phone now for 4 days. I've had to buy online these little screws, and I still, it's coming in today, but I had to wait 4 days for myself to be able to open the back up. And it would have been nice if they gave just a really small screw that anyone can open up so that they can at least put in the expandable storage. Because right now I have a micro SD card that I'm not able to put in here because they don't provide anything with this phone. And I don't know, it's just a weird feeling that you have to go out to buy an extra screw to be able to access something like that. It would have been nice if they had it on the outside that you'd be able to access. Now, I mentioned the Fairphone moments, which I think is brilliantly done, which I think every phone should be required to have. But with that said, when you have the moments on, it's actually not so much of a dumb mode feature, because what you can actually do is when you have moments on, you can still swipe up from the bottom and you can access previous apps that you've had before. And so in a sense, it feels like you can bypass that really quickly. Now, I don't know exactly if they intended for that to be able to be an option, but I feel like that should be, I guess, somewhat prevented, because if I can easily just swipe up from the bottom and go to apps that I was trying to avoid because I don't want to be distracted, that does kind of feel like it's maybe defeating the purpose of the moments. And lastly, or not so much lastly, but going to kind of taking a step back, this phone is only available in the US for $900 through one of their vendors that offers it through EOS specifically. Now, EOS is mainly for data privacy and for anonymity, but it's weird that Fairphone would make such a awesome phone and then basically make it very unattractive at that price point for the US market. I feel like this phone would do very well in the US if you can get over some of the inconveniences. But once you get up to 900, you're talking about S25 Plus, or even the S25 Ultra. You're very similar to price points of these top tier phones, the Google Pixel 9 Pro, the iPhone Pro, iPhone 16 Pro. You're just $100 away from specs that really put this phone into on the bottom of the list when it comes to comparing at that price point. It's the first phone that speaks to me in a lot of ways. I mean, I care about sustainability, but I'll be honest, it's never been my top priority as a tech enthusiast. But when you pair the ease of replacing batteries, expandable storage, the moments feature, I feel like I finally have a phone I can grab with a complete peace of mind, while bringing back memories of early phone days when you can just simply take the back off and replace the battery. Now, is it perfect? No, but if I had one request, it would be for a Pro version with the highest spec chip and the best quality cameras to complete with the top tiers, so that you feel like you're locking in the best specs that are available to you to last you for the next 8 years. I think many would be glad to spend an extra $400 on the newest Snapdragon, best-in-class display, maxed out RAM, and premium materials and speakers, something like a Red Magic 10 Pro, but with actual software updates and replaceability. This really does feel like the Patagonia of phones. There are people who would never pay more than $10 for a t-shirt, but there are many people who will also pay $50 for a t-shirt because they know it came from a good source and that the company went into painstaking detail to make sure that the phone is coming from a good place where all the employees are taken care of. But overall, at $600, I think that everyone who's an Android user should take a good and honest look at this phone. And for an Apple user, if you can get used to some of the mechanisms of the double tap and the unlock, and let's say the lock screen isn't that important to you, I would definitely recommend looking at this phone. It's worth an honest look and an honest try. And overall, I think what you end up getting is a lot more phone for less. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.